Alright, so welcome back to Module 7. In Module 7 we're talking about diagnostic analytics, and in this third and final learning objective here in Module 7 we're talking about drill down statistical techniques. Alright, so we're looking for relationships, linkages, patterns in the data, and what drill down analytics allow us to do is, if we have a high level, summarized level of data, drill down analytics allow us to go deeper down to understand what we're observing in terms of patterns and relationships. Alright, so another diagnostic analytics technique that we can use to look for patterns in the data is we could perform hypothesis tests for differences in means, right? So we could perform something called a two-sample t-test for the difference between two means. And so what this test does is it evaluates if the averages from two different samples come from two different populations, right? So maybe we take an average of sample A, we take an average in sample B, and we say, well, is it possible that sample A came from a different population than sample B? Right, that's what we're testing for. And so let's talk about some concrete examples. So we might evaluate whether or not customers return more products from January to October versus November and December. Right, so we have this hypothesis that returns are higher in November and December than they are in the earlier parts of the year. So our hypothesis test would say, well, are the averages for returns in November and December different than the averages for January through October? All right, so we would compare the averages there. We would perform a t-test, and we would be able to conclude statistically whether or not those returns were generated from two different populations of customers. Are they different types of customers in those different time periods? Another thing we could do is we could do a hypothesis test using regression analysis. So maybe we have a hypothesis about whether or not advertising leads to more sales. And so a hypothesis test around advertising, we might predict more advertising equates to more sales. And that's our prediction. That's our alternative hypothesis. And so we could test that using regression, where we regress sales data on advertising data. Whether we're investigating statistically whether or not there is a linear relationship between advertising and sales. All right, and so we can do all sorts of things here with regression analyses. All right, so this concludes our third and final video here in Module 7, where we were discussing diagnostic analytics. I hope these videos have been helpful, and I'll talk to you real soon. Take care.